Biggity boom, and welcome back to this, another episode of the Happy No Fear podcast. I'm your host, Chase, and on this week's episode, we have a very special guest. She grew up in LA and then moved to Boston and then came back to LA again and has only been painting walls for the last maybe 2.5 years, and is, in my opinion, doing very well and is kind of gaining a lot of traction and on fire right now. Lots of psychedelic feeling, very interesting stuff coming from the world of footwear design at Converse, and leaping, jumping, diving headfirst into the world of painting walls. So without further ado, I give to you Allison Bamcat. Like, I've seen all the changes with LA, you know, like what it used to be, how Venice used to be, how Hollywood used to be, you know, before there was any such thing as street art, you know, and many changes.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up here, but I moved to Boston when I was a teenager.
Yeah, I thought so.
And so, I don't know, I didn't have any attention on that. I was 12 when I moved.
Where'd you grow up in LA?
In the Valley.
In the Valley? Like, what part of the Valley?
Sylmar.
Sylmar,
yeah. Right up against the mountains, yeah.
Yes. I went to a hypnotherapist there once.
Really?
Yeah.
The last time I was there was a dude literally on a horse riding past the McDonald's that I went to as a kid. I'm like, oh, is this what we're doing now?
Yeah.
We're riding horses on the fucking sidewalk?
Yeah, Sylmar's pretty deep. It's pretty deep.
Yeah.
It's Deep Valley.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's where we could afford to grow up.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
That house is worth like $600,000 now.
Yeah.
My parents got it for $99,000.
Unbelievable.
Like 88 or something.
Unbelievable, yeah.
Right?
Appreciation left and right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then would you, so wait, you left for Boston for college or something, I remember? Or something?
My parents are from Boston originally.
Okay.
So they moved out to LA in the 80s for Scientology.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's weird, dude.
Really?
Yeah. And then they moved back to Boston when they had kids.
Yeah,
And we're like, we don't want to live here anymore, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but I do.
Unreal. I have another friend, she was born into it.
Yeah.
Also an artist.
I'm lucky that I didn't have anything to do with it. It was more my dad, but...
And so the stint in LA with the family with Scientology, how long was it? It was like 6 years, 8 years, 10 years?
Probably like 10 years.
10 years.
But they still send my mom letters in the mail.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
we'd love
Get
for you
cleared.
to complete your classes.
Exactly.
You started this course, we'd love to have you again. She's like, I'm dying. Get away from me.
Yeah,
Like,
wow. Crazy. Yeah, they don't let go, I guess. Once you became a member or showed interest.
Yeah.
I was taken to Scientology as when I just got here.
Yeah.
I was skating USC. There's it's kind of like a famous skate spot, the blocks outside of USC. And I was really into Joseph Campbell at the time. I'm like 18 or 19. Yeah. So I have my little Joseph Campbell book, or maybe it was Neil Donald Walsh, like one of these self-help things. And, you know, always into rapping about it, talking, not rapping, but like talking about it and like,
yeah, I'm like, I don't want to hear Scientology rap.
Yeah. It wasn't like that.
No, I know, but I would know.
But yeah, that would be
Super
funny
white
actually.
bread, like rapping about Jesus.
Get clear.
Get clear.
And so I was talking about it, and this guy overheard me, Tony. And he's like, hey, kid, you know, I like what you're talking. And he was like a little bit older than I was. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I got something interesting for you. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, here we go. You know, what are you selling? Fake Rolexes or something? God. Whatever, some opportunity, right?
Yeah.
And then he's like, no, here's my card. Mm-hmm. And I, you know, from what you're talking about with all this like Eastern thinking and Taoism and all the stuff you say you're into, I got something that's right here. And he gave me some card. And I was like, okay, this is a little bit suspect, you know. But then he lingered around and turned out to be a cool dude. And he drove me to the Celebrity Center, the Scientology Celebrity Center.
In Burbank or where?
No, on Franklin in Hollywood. The big one.
Oh, the big one, yeah.
Yeah, where like Tom Cruise has like apartments and shit. Mm-hmm. And so they brought me in there. And I'm like, okay, what is this again? I kind of remember L. Ron Hubbard, like something. And I knew, you know, by proximity or something.
Yeah.
What it was, and I guess this was like after skating, probably like 6:37 at night.
Okay.
He drove. I got in. I trusted. You know, I knew how to fight. So I'm like, if anything, I can knock this guy out. And so we got there, and there was like 4 people waiting for me, like welcoming me. And I'm there with my skateboard, and they welcome me inside.
They were like, "Oh, this guy's easy. He skateboards.
Oh, but we're gonna get this
Look
guy.
at this delinquent."
Yeah, for sure. And so Tony, who was like a couple of years older than I was, he's like, "Look, I'm gonna show you a film, and then it's about 45 minutes, and I'll be outside afterwards. But you're so welcome. You don't have to watch it. You don't have to stay. But I urge you to, because I think you stumbled upon something here." Yeah. And I'm like, I got curious now, So they put me in this private movie theater, all plush and royal and velvet and like golden details and stuff. I'm like, where the fuck am I? And they played me this Scientology like entry level sort of like seducing piece of like film.
Mm-hmm. Like an infomercial.
Yes. And I think the head guy was in there. Isaac Hayes was in there. Travolta was in there. Yeah. And I was like, wow, this seems pretty powerful. And then the last shot, I'll never forget, because I watched the whole thing. Uh-huh. The last shot was when the gates were slowly closing, like the symbol of like the rest of your life.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And then the guy is talking and walking backwards, going back, walking backwards into the gate, and said something to the effect of, you may not know what the rest of your life is going to look like, but if you don't take a chance now or something, then you'll never know. Or like some little carrot at the end of it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I want to go.
Right?
Yeah, and it kind of had me for a second. I come out of that little private movie theater, and there was Tony. I still have his card somewhere, I think, because I like to collect shit. And he gave me Dianetics in paperback.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And then I had it for many years in the toilet.
On the back of the toilet or sitting in the toilet?
Oh, no, we had like a little magazine rack.
Oh, the magazine rack, okay.
Like at the time, what was it, Maxims and like,
absolutely,
Perfect 10, magazine.
Oh, we had like Home and Gardens and stuff.
A little bit more conservative, or
and
something.
And like Garfield comics.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Dianetics was in there, and I would attempt to read it. And the preface always said, like, if there's a word you run into, very important to look that word up, because we use specific words that are underused in the English language. Mm-hmm. And please do not continue to read without finding out what that word means. And so I tried to, but it was like, I guess I'm an idiot immigrant. So I would like run into words all the fucking time, and it became so frustrating. And later when I thought about it, I knew that was a technique to sort of enrich you with new knowledge, right? When you have
the new terminology. So
right.
That you would...
And you'd have some ego about knowing these words, and you try them out on your friends and that kind of thing. And I've ran into that before. And so I kind of got frustrated with Dianetics. And then one day I had food poisoning.
Yeah. Right?
I didn't know at a young age that you can't eat from an open can of tomatoes.
Ooh, yeah. What is that, botulism?
Tin poisoning.
Tin poisoning.
Tin poisoning from the can. Because I put the can back in the fridge, like, I'll make some pasta with this. And, 4 days turned into 2 weeks.
I have friends who still do that.
Don't do it, guys. You don't want to be in the place where I ended up at. And so I started it was absolute liquid, diarrhea level.
Great.
And we ran out of toilet paper. And so that day, Dianetics did save my life. I swear.
Oh my God. That's so funny.
No, but the 2 chapters I wiped that day.
Yeah, you're like, I already got through those. It's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so fucking funny.
And so that's my Scientology story. And I'm not even half kidding. Because glossy, magazines of the day,
that wouldn't have done. That
wouldn't have done it.
No.
There's no absorption.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been helpful.
But that paperback, man, it's got that little texture to it. Very nice.
In a pinch.
In a pinch.
No pun intended.
Yeah. So that's hilarious. That's funny.
That's super funny.
Yeah.
That's better than any story that I have. Shit.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I'm sure. You must have seen stuff and when you were there as a kid.
I just saw my dad's bad behavior and my poor mom having to put up with it.
Yeah.
Like she lived in they lived in housing when they moved to L.A. in the late 80s or mid 80s. In Koreatown.
No shit.
My mom wasn't really doing the classes. She was like, I just came out here to kind of date this guy, so I'll roll with it. And he was doing classes. And her job, I guess, was to clean the house,
Mm.
like clean this big community housing that they were in. It was kind of almost like a commune.
Yeah.
And I've passed it before, like with her. It's just so bizarre.
Is it that blue building off of Fountain? I mean, they have so many
off
properties.
Of,
Bonnie Bray.
Bonnie Bray,
Yep.
yeah. Somewhere over there.
It's unreal how much,
Yeah.
like incredible real estate they managed to get for themselves.
Well, yeah, it was all cheaper back then.
Right, that's true.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they would wish they could have gotten all the buildings next to the, the spot in Hollywood, but I guess they went to Koreatown. They settled.
Yeah. For the housing, and now I've noticed they have also a building on Gower and Hollywood Boulevard, like an old building, and they're constantly coming in and out of there, kind of dressed nice a little bit, working or studying.
Or nice, quote unquote nice. They look like penguins. They're so
penguins,
weird.
like LL Bean suits.
They make Mormons look fashionable.
Right, it's true. Yeah.
At least Mormons wear like the slim fit now, Come on.
Yeah. That's true. It is a dated look. It's like, is this like from a Halloween costume or something?
Exactly.
Like it's a dated cut.
Yeah, they look like cheap Halloween costumes from like West Hollywood, from Santa Monica Boulevard. So funny.
And so how did you get out of that? Or did you ever get pulled in? Or was it just your parents that kind of got sucked in?
My mom was pretty adamant about not letting me or my sister participate in that.
I see.
But the easiest way to do that was by divorcing my dad
Wow.
when we were like little kids. So they reconnected later in life, but he was out of that and whatever.
So they picked up after like everything was like sort of independent again.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But no, my mom's out of that now, and
it's wild, man. I'm so interested
weird.
in cults and like.
I'm like, well, no wonder they didn't like LA when they moved here.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, this is what you came here for, you idiots.
Through
like,
the lens of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love it here. I mean, I always wanted to come back when I moved to Boston with them, so I'm glad that I'm here again.
Yeah.
We just hit 3 years.
3 years, yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, I know a little bit about your story, but like this is our first time meeting face to face.
Yeah.
But I'm a big fan.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I really am. And I don't like say that a lot or often. And you kind of just started doing walls a few years ago.
Yeah, maybe 2.5 years ago.
But your technique is getting so much better. You're getting comfortable.
Thank you.
Like all the knowledge that you have when you paint, with acrylic and stuff, that's now showing up on the wall.
Yeah, I'm getting close to being
there.
able to replicate like my hand done paintings in my studio on a wall, which is awesome.
It's
and
fresh.
A lot of the frustration has subsided with like learning how to use spray can. And, I mean, I learned to use spray can as a way to like, I don't know, I needed to know every technique. I wanted to learn everything I possibly could so that if I showed up to a job, I wouldn't struggle. I wouldn't look like I was struggling.
Yeah, you gotta look the part, right?
Yeah, I could just remain like confident.
Yeah.
So, but I owe a lot of learning spray can to my buddies that I made when I was out here. Daniel Toledo and Jaime Paints and East By and a lot of dudes took a chance on a 30-year-old woman to help her learn how to do spray can.
But you got the flavor because like illustration can even just an illustration style can be so boring sometimes. Like a chick with the dog sipping a coffee or like what so many like illustrators do around the world. But you have a fresh take on all that. Like there's something going on. There's some story. There's some symbolism. There's dimensionality, right? And then the psychedelic feeling of it all is, of course, something that I love.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that was one of the things I really was stoked about coming back to LA because when I was in Boston, just kind of starting my painting career, I was working in design full time, but I didn't really know who I was like kind of marketing my work toward because Boston's a little, I don't want to say prissy.
Right.
But it's very collegiate and, business minded.
Sporty.
And the art market is very like streamlined and clean and technology driven. Yeah. And I'm like, I want to do whacked out, weird, like Lisa Frank on crack stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I can see like even like just the weather patterns there. Like somehow it's difficult then to end up in this like cozy, psychedelic, full of color kind of world. Like how do you marry the two, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like cold weather areas are always like strange for me too. I feel like there's a lack of enthusiasm there or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah. I mean not only do people get clinically depressed during the holidays, but
seasonal
the whole
depression,
time I was so resentful. I was like, I grew up where it was just endless summer every day.
Yeah.
And then like the summer in Boston is like 2 weeks at the beginning of May and then 2 weeks at the beginning of September, and the rest is just super muggy, disgusting.
It's a horror show.
So you don't want to go outside anyway.
Yeah.
And there's absolutely now there's the beginnings of a street art scene.
Right.
That is like
Now that I think about it, I don't hear a lot about Boston in when it comes.
There
to
are people working on it.
Yeah.
Artists like Market 27 and Pro Black.
Market 27, he's an
and
OG
Vice
LA
One.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I used to work with him in Boston,
Oh, okay.
and I was such a pain in the ass to him at work, but
I
I have so much respect for what he does now, and.
But didn't he go to Mexico before that or something? He disappeared from LA.
He grew up in Juarez.
In Juarez, yeah.
Yeah,
I see.
and then he lived in LA, and he was in Brooklyn, Boston. I think he's back in Brooklyn now with his family, but he's pioneering a lot of the kind of street art mural festivals in Boston.
Nice.
Which is like, thank goodness somebody's doing it,
Yeah,
because I wouldn't know where to begin. And he has so much experience. So
yeah, it's a lot of work getting any of that going. Just a lot of footwork, relationships, budgets, planning.
Oh yeah.
Convincing neighborhood councils and like all this, and it's sort of like, look, we're just trying to give you a gift, but sometimes that's not easy to do, right?
Yeah, totally. I'm thinking about joining the Mid-City Neighborhood Council, because they're developing an arts segment to that.
Yeah.
Because there are plenty of walls.
Right here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because there's plenty of walls in Mid-City.
Oh,
and there's
insane
plenty
amounts.
of graffiti, plenty of incredible artists, left and right. But we definitely got tagged up during the protests. Mm-hmm. And that just goes to show we have so many artists here, and they have no outlet.
Right.
We have no free walls. We have nothing.
Right.
So if somebody's going to do it,
Oh,
maybe I can help convince them to,
Yeah.
put some money into that.
Yeah.
And I know how to use lifts and paint sprayers and, buff out some walls and whatever.
Yeah, you're a quick study. For only having done walls for a couple of years, it's quite impressive, to be honest.
Yeah. My second wall I ever did, I had to use a boom lift for.
No shit.
And that was the first wall I ever used any spray paint on, just a little bit in a gradient.
No, and you just said yes, I'm going to live into this. I'm going to make it happen. How
Yes.
hard could it be?
Oh, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
Using heavy machinery is so cool. So I got
once you get because every boom lift has its own little personality, I feel.
Oh, totally.
But once you get it's 2 buttons to move or one button.
Yeah, turtle means slow, bunny means fast, and everything. I'm just gonna hit all the pedals until I feel like I'm in the right mind again.
Yeah.
But now I even know how to turn off the beeping, the incessant beeping.
When you're off balance.
Not off balance, but how some lifts just beep, 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 beep
as you
when you're
go up,
climbing
right.
or going down or just moving at all. Sometimes you're in a neighborhood.
How do you turn it off?
There's a little circuit near the speaker, where the horn would honk and where the beeping comes from.
Right.
And so you just have to kind of look around. Again, every lift is different because, whoever did all the circuits and wiring and stuff might have zip tied them together a certain way.
I see.
So you
it's
just
in
kind
the
of have
box.
to look for the
It's
one.
in the
it's
module.
in the
or
hood,
whatever.
yeah.
Oh, I
So,
see. Downstairs or in the box itself.
On a boom lift, it's in the hood that you lift up.
Right, downstairs.
And then, in the scissor lift, it's usually super low to the ground.
Right. Yeah, I've had
So
to
that's
open
my
that a
first
few
thing.
times, and I'm like, man, if I fuck anything up here...
It's easy.
Yeah.
It's really easy.
Oh, yeah? You'll have to show me next time.
Yes, it's the secret,
Man,
secret recipe for working in peace.
Man, I once did a nightmare gig.
Oh, yeah?
It was kind of for a friend's brother, whatever, long story. But Washington, D.C., I get there, there's still trees or bushes is where they should have put down plywood. It's an 8-story building, right?
Wow.
And it starts raining.
Oh, jeez.
And so I've got the mother of all boom lifts. I could with a ladder in the box itself, fully extended, right? I could reach 8 floors, I could just barely reach it.
I don't like having a lift in the boom.
And it starts
Sucks,
raining, right?
Jeez.
So now, because they didn't prep and it was mud, because they did remove the bushes. Now the machine, which is so heavy, it's like a mastodon. It starts sinking because of the mud and the rain.
No.
So it was still beeping and beep, 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 beep. But now, because it's off balance, it would move literally. I would say I don't know, maybe 5 inches every 10 seconds. So super slowly.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was a nightmare, man. So
Yeah, it doesn't sound fun at all. I hate it.
But I can't. I got to do 8 stories squared. You know, like this is insane. So we got an assistant, and Juan is his name, and he operated me from downstairs.
Oh yeah.
And then it was still full speed, and I said up in the rain with an umbrella.
Yeah.
To the left, no, the other left. You know, like this. Like,
oh, how funny.
Oh, for days, crazy, man.
It's
Nightmare.
helpful though to know somebody else with you who knows how to operate the boom.
Yeah.
God forbid you get stuck or dies or something or whatever.
Yeah, that was like fucking bananas. But before that, I didn't know you could operate it from downstairs. I knew there was things there, but I didn't know that if one was up, that the other downstairs can operate it for you. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I did not know that. So I guess I'm a slow learner.
Well, you know now. So you can save somebody else in the rain.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so
no
funny.
No more rain for me.
Jeez Louise. I haven't had to paint in the rain. I mean, I've painted when it started drizzling once.
Yeah.
But I wasn't working very high.
Yeah.
And I hadn't been in the rain in months.
So
it was
you're
it was
"Let
so
me have
peaceful. Yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah.
It was out in Worcester for a powwow.
Yeah. Man, you've been like fucking. You've been on a rampage. It seemed like COVID was relaxed, and all of a sudden you did like 5-6 things in like a month or something.
Yeah, I did 8 walls in the last 2 months.
That's so fucking nice.
And that was after 5 months of nothing.
Yeah.
Just
So you're like
desolate. Nobody's hitting me back. Everybody's depressed. COVID is killing everybody.
Yeah.
I'm watching my bank account dwindle. And how are we going to get out of this? So I told myself when people start asking me again, I'm not turning down anything. So I did actually turn down one mural festival now, but it was in Memphis, and I figured I was pushing my luck with COVID and didn't put anybody else kind of. I don't know. I didn't want to make anybody else adhere to my schedule.
Right. Yeah. But 8 in 2 months that's a healthy schedule.
It was a lot.
That's once a week.
I have like a mild shoulder injury right now. I think I just slept on it wrong, and
Get
I have
strong.
tendonitis in my hand.
Get strong.
My thumb callus right now is rocking.
That's good, right?
I know.
like that callus.
All I want to do right now is draw and paint.
That's a wall dog. No, and that's another thing I appreciate about you is that, you know, because you see some artists. Just like, oh, this is something I can do. You know, this is something I can probably market myself great at and then make a lot of money, right? Which is great, and everyone, you know, should reach for that. Why not?
Kudos to people who can.
Fantastic. You know? But what's interesting to me about you, which is my sort of like filter that I check for, is that I just feel from you that you love to paint.
I really do.
And you do, don't you?
I would be doing it no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's the thing that brings me the most joy.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
I love that.
No, I'm stoked. I mean, I do a lot of free walls. I'll take whatever opportunity I get, as long as it's right, you know, for people and for me and whatever.
Right.
So, but I'm finding a lot more appreciation in like graffiti now, and gonna go out to some like graffiti events and just observe and watch and, you know, really try to sink back into LA and what we have to offer here. Because there's so much to learn, and everybody who taught me how to use spray can do graffiti.
Yeah, so. Or at least come from that world. You know?
Yes, exactly. So there's no reason that I should keep myself outside of it when these are the guys like doing some of the most killer work there is. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because I also understand kids that are like, let's say they're like 19 now or something, or 18 now, and they didn't do graffiti and then they start doing walls. That's in a way that's totally fucking fine. It's just a medium. You know? But it's bonus to know, right? It's sort of like if you're into hip hop, then it's also interesting to know bebop and to know jazz and to know where things got sampled from originally and who Grandmaster Caz is and all that sort of stuff. If you're that into it, I think you'll be curious about it, right?
Exactly. I think that's where it's coming from. I'm super curious now, and I notice more now that there's new work coming up in our neighborhoods, and I want to know who these people are, and I want to know when they're out and painting. Not because I need to do it with them. If I do start learning lettering, I don't think anyone will see pictures of it for like quite a while.
I've seen you do lettering. It was part of the vodka thing. You did some cool lettering.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it was 2-color,
I know.
but it's lettering, and it was your lettering. It wasn't a font.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can do it all.
I know. I just redesigned my like name and stuff, but I'm trying to learn how to make it more dynamic and getting feedback from like my buddies and from I've talked to the Lord's crew and
Right.
get a little bit of feedback from them. Like, okay, here I am, like poser du jour.
Yeah.
Like, tell me how I can get better at lettering, so that the time that I actually do go up with a can, I don't make a total loser, idiot, asshole out of myself.
No, I think you're a great story. You know, to first
thanks,
pick up
man.
a can at the age of what, 30,
30,
31?
yeah, I'm 32 now.
That's like, you know, for most people it's long gone by then, but like, it's I love it, you know, and I think your voice is very interesting. I see there's a whole world there, right? And you're not like being cheap about it and like using other people's copyright and like known brands or like Scooby-Doo or whatever the fuck it is. No, you're really developing your own characters.
I think that comes from working in design for so long,
Yeah.
and working with licensed characters,
Right.
including The Simpsons, including DC Comics
Yeah.
and Batman, that working with those legal teams, it was just so off-putting that I'm like, I can't do it.
Oh yeah, to get a proper license.
If I got a cease and desist, I would totally cry.
Yeah, I mean, cease and desist would be okay because you would just stop, right?
Yeah, but I kind of always just figured I'll do whatever I'm doing, because I had to work in a way where I worked with a legal team. So I was a footwear designer. We'll go back.
Yeah.
I was a footwear designer. I did print and pattern for Converse under Nike for about 7 years.
Interesting.
And so like anything that was printed on a sneaker, I pretty much would at least oversee or work with development if I didn't design it myself, and I designed a lot.
So you're a vector head. You use Illustrator.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like screen print setup.
I love Illustrator.
I am like, it's like this whole secret skill set that nobody really knows I have, but it's taking up a lot of space in the back of my brain. But yeah, so working with any legal team where they're, anything you draw, they pitch back. Nope, it looks like this.
Yeah.
Nope, that looks like this. Nope, that looks like this. So I'm like, what is the one thing that looks like me?
Right.
And I was always just trying to fight and find whatever looked like me.
Right.
And I think I'm finally getting a handle on it.
Yeah.
Like now in my
Yeah. Like, yeah, I've seen some very interesting, cool, like flavorful takes on characters and styles and stuff that you've done.
Thanks.
You know, also like the mural you did at Lancaster Museum of History and Art.
That was my third powwow and my biggest wall for powwow.
Yeah, shouts
I'm really
to
proud of that
Andy,
one.
who's the coolest gallery museum director probably.
Oh, Andy's awesome.
She's the best, so
Yeah.
shouts out to her. But the planes you use there, specifically on the left side of the wall, there's this big plane that's like. You're almost like you can kind of hide behind it if you have to.
Like Adobe, like an old mission.
Yeah. So when it gets to that level of perspective placing, with like things like in your like as if you're like really standing there rather than looking at a normal like almost 2D 3D scene like that's when things get really really interesting, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I like to play with organic shapes, but also I'm really interested in architecture, but I don't do straight lines.
Yeah.
If you ever ask me to do a straight line,
yeah.
I'll kind of like roll my eyes about it, like, please don't make me do this. Because I can, but it kind of interrupts my flow and like how my arm works and taping things off and.
Right. Everyone's got their lines, right? And you're more on the rounded side.
Yeah.
What they call
organic, I guess.
Right. There's a word for that.
I don't know.
It's something. I can't think right now.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's like there's rounded people, there's bubbly people, but not like in the cheesy way. And then
I know what you mean.
And then there's prickly people that are sharper.
Yeah,
right? And you're like a round, like rounder edges and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's always going to be what like makes me happiest.
Yeah.
I mean, I can hit a sharp corner if I need to, but it's usually still not a 90 degree.
Yeah. Let's go hit that liquor store. Boop, hit the corner.
Yeah, right. Funny.
No, that's cool. And then your colors too. Not easy to use a lot of color, right? And to still like to create that vibe with color. And with the last guest, Xul from Paris, like he's really into trying to find like ugly color combinations that don't work until you introduce that last color, and all of a sudden the thing works.
Yeah.
That's when things get really nerdy. Like this is all dirty. Like it does. It's mud. It's gonna be mud. But then you introduce that last color, and all of a sudden the thing works perfectly. And it's so surprising and original, and you can find it in nature, type of vibe.
Yeah, I'd say you have really unexpected color schemes as well.
I do. What was that?
I have no idea.
Oh, I think we're being warp zoned to 2021, and the mess is behind us.
Oh, thank God. Right? When the comet hits and we're all just like decimated. This week has been a week, dude.
We walk out of here, the world is just done. It's a post-apocalyptic.
Right? Well, at least we left on a high note.
At least we got plenty of paint here. We can go painting.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, on the rubble, on the, dregs.
On the ash.
On the ash.
These are my mother's ashes. Please don't paint on them.
Oh, God. And her friend, and then her neighbors, and No, it's cool. This is a really, fulfilling time in my life where I get to do these bigger projects and really challenge myself. And, I challenge myself in little ways that probably other people don't notice, where I'm trying to, hone my skills, let alone, being able to replicate the work in the way that I want it to look. But I try never to cut in with the background color again.
Why not?
Because I need the practice of, can you make this...
Stickering on top, yeah.
Yeah, I'm can you make this look like it looks without leaning on the background color?
Right.
So it's really more about
That's
that.
very advanced way of thinking.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if I do really have to do a claw or a sharp end of a wing or something like that, I try to do that. But right now, I used to use house paint for my first couple of walls, and then I started bringing some wall ink with me, the Montana refills. And then I would paint on eyelashes or little highlights in the eyes.
Right. That's fine.
But I don't do that anymore. Now it's get a sharp eyelash with can. Because that's all
you can. Depending on scale, you can totally do that.
Yes, bigger walls, much easier. Yeah.
Because when the final photo, even when it's a close-up, it sort of blends everything together. And you don't see that maybe that eyelash at the end is rounded.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, but I do. So.
Yeah.
Gotta get it.
There's tips for that. There's that vanilla tip, the vanilla skinny.
Oh, the cream skinnies?
Yeah.
I use only cream skinnies or level 1 green Montana caps.
You like green
and then
I love the light green
orange
ones,
Astro Fats. That's it.
Yeah, that's pretty much. And see that box is full of that stuff.
I know. I'm out of cream skinnies now. I gotta get some more.
Yeah, I have some green ones. Maybe I have some cream still. Mm-hmm. But and you're using Montana Gold, right?
Montana Gold's my favorite.
Yeah.
Just for the consistency of it. I love all the color schemes, but I like Montana Black as well.
Yeah, I don't like Montana Black because you gotta, when you gotta shake and you miss I would argue a sixth of the can. You gotta spray out because it cracks.
Yes.
What the fuck is up with that?
I have no idea why it does.
No, that is I come from Belton,
and it destroys cream skinnies. I don't even know why you put a skinny on it, but it destroys them.
Yeah. So because you see behind you, this is all Belton, but but all those boxes here, but Belton, it's not the best paint anymore.
Really?
I'm a late bloomer. This fades in the street, 3-4 years, things are fucking fading.
No way.
So yeah, so now I switched to Montana Gold because it lasts that much longer.
That's crazy. I mean, I don't use any neons in my work because I'm so afraid
Me neither.
of them.
No one can.
Light fastness, but...
Right. It'll go in 2 months. Neon. Yeah. But let's say if this was painted on the wall, right?
Mm-hmm. He's pointing at a painting that he did.
A big painting, but just all Belton. This will be the intensity of the color is gone. Depending on how much sunlight it gets, but probably 3 years, it's already properly faded. And Montana Gold, out of what I've seen, the best.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
For that,
of course, it's the most expensive one that I collect.
Yeah. But
it goes a long way, and it's always dependable. And if I haven't used a can in a year, I can still shake it up, and it looks normal.
Yeah, exactly.
And it goes with the new cans. Sometimes when you pick up an old can, it looks totally different from the other ones.
I did run into an issue recently where the same color was not the same color, and I needed it to be the same color. Oh, that's
so frustrating. Yeah, I can't stand stuff like that.
The worst. But also a little bit frustrated now that we're reviewing spray paint here.
I love art supplies materials. I worked in an art store, so anything with chemical compounds in paints or consistency and light fastness. I'm such a nerd with this stuff.
Yeah, the thickness of Montana Gold, fantastic. Mm-hmm. The UV resistance, number one. But again, a little bit you gotta shake it a lot, and it kind of cracks up. Just like black does, but black will do it for a lot of the can. I would say at least a sixth of the can is gone, and then with gold, it's still an eighth. And it's Jesus Christ. Sometimes especially the way I paint, I want it to be flat. I can't have a crack in there.
Oh yeah.
And
if you're trying to get a graphic look, then you need it to be completely consistent. Yeah. It's like Bazooka Joe. It's the number one. I can never get it to look consistent. Yeah. Drives me insane.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
But yeah, that's good that you're using that. because I recently switched, and I'm like a kid all over again, because the colors are slightly different, and there's variation on all the colors that I know by name. You know, I know 166 colors from Belton by name almost.
Oh,
And
really?
now,
Wow.
now I'm dealing with like a brand new candy store.
Yeah.
And like, oh my fucking God, like I can't wait to paint. I can't sleep sometimes.
Really?
On that
I
level,
love
yeah.
that though. Yeah, I've been using a lot. I used Cobra at my last mural festival.
Yeah, never tried Cobra. I tried a can, but I don't think I like it.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Loop is okay if it doesn't come out like Silly String. They have super fun colors.
Oof.
Like Coimbra is like this brilliant light violet that I love, but I can only get it to work half the time.
Yeah,
It drives me insane. So, but I had to use Montana 94s for the last couple of mural
Very
festivals.
European of you.
Well, not not on purpose. Because of COVID, a lot of factories had to shut down, like the ones in Germany.
That's right.
Who create black and gold. So
Gold is still struggling.
yes, exactly. So for Powwow, Antelope Valley, and for Arts Fest Montana that I just did this past month,
94.
I had to translate my whole paint order into 94s.
No worries.
But I bought a fan and made it super easy, like a little fan that you can spread and kind of match your colors that way.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, 'cause that's another pet peeve.
Yeah.
Is that the swatches? You know, not a lot of.
Oh, and like
swatches.
the printed booklets, they're never the same.
I
Online
know.
it's never the same. And from coming from a design background,
Right.
I need to
Pantone shit,
I need to tactically be able to see and hold the colors and know exactly that the temperature is right.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
Oh, because like one tone off, but it's leaning out towards the yellow way too fucking much, and I needed to lean more towards the green or some shit.
Exactly. And I always appreciate when they're like, well, we're out of that, we can give you the next closest. I'm like, the next closest is the farthest away
Changes
from what
everything,
I needed
man.
to do. Yeah. But it's just because we're like picky designers, you know, picky artists. But yeah.
So you made a fan out of the Montana.
I just bought one from Montana Shop.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So I try to collect them like a Pantone.
Yeah, they sell them, right?
Oh yeah. They're like
I never really had
$50
one.
or something.
Yeah, that's worth it.
Oh, totally worth it. Yes.
I should get that.
You should.
Yeah.
They have them.
Yeah.
$50.
Yeah, for gold as well.
Gold I got at Graphades.
Graphades down the street here.
Mm-hmm.
Mike over there,
Yeah.
No, they have that?
They do.
That's
where I got it, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And especially now when you can't really go in the store and peruse.
Yeah.
Really
you can
nice.
now again, though.
I know a little bit. It's like,
But,
we got to be careful. It's nice to be able to do half the work at home. So
yeah,
I
would pay $100 for that.
Right?
You know, 50's, man, it's like,
Yeah.
but when I can really look at the color, that's like everything.
Mm-hmm. Or if you're traveling, having them with you.
Right.
If you can't get your thing and you really need to figure it out on the fly wherever you are.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice to have.
It's super nice to have.
Mm-hmm. But that also goes to my like hyper obsessive planning around everything.
So here's a question now for you. Like if you want to go next level, it's something that I've never done, but you make me think of it. Because the actual swatch book for $50, samples of the paint, that's one thing. But do you have the available colors matched with Pantones in Illustrator?
I don't know.
That would be interesting.
So here's the thing. I don't have any Pantone swatch books, but I worked with Pantone swatch books for so long that I've memorized a lot of the coded codes. I've memorized a lot of the TPX codes.
315C, what color is that?
That's a type of teal.
Oh yeah, maybe you're right. I thought it was like the true red, isn't it? Or that's
No,
305C?
that's like red 00 or something.
Okay.
It's called like red.
I see. Yeah,
or warm red.
Yeah, but there's a 015 or something. There's something
like
15.
that. Yeah, but the 300s are usually.
I try to get you, but I can't
teals.
get you.
Usually blues and teals. My favorite is 349C.
Yeah, that's like the true teal, turquoise.
I think it's more like a cerulean blue, but nobody fact check that.
Yeah.
Don't at me.
Yeah.
But I can usually tell if it's from working with those colors for so long that if I got something from a client and they were like, okay, well, this is Bart Simpson's color.
Right.
I would know in a heartbeat if that was Bart Simpson's color, if you showed me or not.
1205C.
I have no idea.
I always had the thin book, which is
Yeah.
about, what is this, like 3 inches?
Yeah, so solid coated, probably, right?
Yeah, uncoated and
uncoated,
coated are in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I always found like the light tones of things, especially like let's say cream or vanilla.
They're so hard.
There's nothing there.
Yeah.
There's nothing there.
In the newer books, there are options, but it's just impossible. Sometimes, like I do a lot of like enamel pins, and I work with brands to help them develop enamel pins and patches and things. when it comes to stuff like that, you sometimes just have to ask the factory, like, make it a cream color, please.
Yeah,
there's no Pantone.
Match the screen, which is like kind of like suicide because their calibration of their screen is going to be different than yours. And then sometimes you get back at the strange colors.
Yeah, or they can be working on a computer that's 15 years old. You know?
Right.
You can't depend on everybody to have the same resources that you do.
Right, that's right.
So you gotta help people, help them along.
I like
make their job easy.
I like how we're going like into deep, like nerdy design water. I love that shit.
All about it.
I'm still working with CS6.
Oh, I have CS6 on my home computer, and then I have CC as well.
Yeah.
But
I have the Adobe package on my laptop. Mm-hmm. But I feel like a stranger in a strange land because it's all like different to me for some reason.
It's annoying. I don't like having to differentiate whether I want to save on the cloud or save on my desktop.
Get the fuck out
I'm working on this computer. I want it to be on this computer.
Can we? Yeah.
I will work continuing knowing that those files are on this computer.
Man, it's so annoying. An Acrobat Pro. Like, can I just make a fucking PDF here?
I just found out there's a shortcut to do that.
What?
Without opening Acrobat, and I feel like the total biggest loser that I've been doing this for years.
This is gold. This is gold.
I will show you how
Please
to do
tell me.
it.
What is the shortcut?
It's
like, so you're an illustrator. You got your, let's say, page 1, page 2.
Oh, you don't even have to open an Illustrator. Just take the JPEGs that you have.
Okay.
Like, say you scanned in a contract and you have like 4 different pages. You select them all, right-click, shortcut, create a PDF.
Oh, yeah?
And it will just put them all into a PDF.
Man, I've lost a lot of hours making PDFs.
Absolutely. I'm so aggravated that I didn't know that before. Yeah. Where like old man yells at cloud, like, why didn't the Zoomers teach me? But like I ever would have listened to anybody anyway. So
in my day, we used to fax each other.
I do know how to fax.
I sent telegrams with my contracts.
Do you even know what a cover letter is?
Exactly.
So funny.
Cover letter, man.
Oh, God.
Unbelievable. Man, I have to look into that because, like...
I'll show you.
For some reason, I have, like, an old, like, big desktop Mac, and I'm totally fine with it. You know, I'm still doing everything I need to do, but it won't YouTube anymore. I can't update it anymore.
Oh, no.
It's like Lion or something, right?
Uh-huh.
And then I have a laptop, which is, like, up to date, but it's, like, way too... It's like a 13-incher.
Mine is I also have a 13-inch laptop, and then I also have the
cinema display.
Desktop,
yeah. And so the desktop is like so, like I can't even make a PDF on it anymore. I mean, I can, but I have to rush because it crashes on me all the time, and I can't update it. So I have to open up the folder, have selected everything, then click Acrobat. As that's opening, really click join files into PDF.
Oh, God.
Then click and drag, then hit Command S, Command S, Command S.
Yes.
And so as it's thinking and wants to quit on itself, hopefully it'll open up in that preview. And then I hit return, so it saves to any name, which is binder.pdf.
Absolutely.
And then, like, 8 out of 10, I have my PDF.
God.
Like, I don't even have running water, man. It's crazy.
You're working with the bare bones.
Yeah, I gotta get a new computer, but I hate that they get you.
I know. Well, it's with Macs too. Like, you can't like defragment them or like do anything to get rid of all the junk and all the cookies and like the. I mean, I know you can empty your cookies. Blah blah blah. Don't at me.
Yeah. They're gonna at you.
But yeah, it's just technology is changing.
Yeah, there's like a built-in timer that it's going to start acting up on you.
Or when it's just whatever you did know is obsolete now.
Right.
You get like 5 years to be like, I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
I did it really good. I knew all the hotkeys. Did it great.
Yeah.
And then it'll just slowly slip away from you.
It will, yeah. And it just makes you feel like shit. Like suicide rates go up.
Right? Well, we can't do like tutorials now.
Yeah.
It's not for us.
Yeah.
It's for the younger people.
It's for the younger kids.
And I'm not even that.
I'm happy
old.
with. I know what to do. I can get done what I need to get done.
Yes.
I was so happy when Streamline came out. Remember Streamline, that little program?
I have no idea what that is.
So now you have Live Trace. I mean, since many years.
Oh,
but before an Illustrator,
I started out with Live Trace.
There was no Live Trace, and so you had line art. Which you took your time to really do good line art.
Yeah.
And then you could only like get it into Illustrator as like a bitmap or something. It was like all awkward, or you had to redraw the lines, which was a bitch.
I hate that.
And then there was an intermediary small little program called Streamline.
Interesting.
Which really streamlined my life. It lived up to its name at the time.
You could be a brand ambassador.
Yeah. I was in an Adobe ad.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was supposed to do a battle with them recently, but the timing was just off.
Yeah. I think Adobe needs to spend a little bit more our way.
I'd be fine with it. I just hope they call me back. I pushed them off so many times. I'm sorry. I was traveling.
Which brings us to an interesting part. Like, my technique sort of always has been just to be very prolific and then to attract, right? And it seems to be like an old school way or whatever. And probably have a website and maybe like, you know, postcard or like a brochure or something to give out. How have you found yourself attracting a lot of work? Like, are you also employing that technique, or are you like going around meeting a lot of people, a lot of shows, a lot of like DMing? You know, what's your style, or you know, is it a little bit all of the above, or are you too cool for all of that and you just wait for emails?
Oh no, I'm definitely not too cool. I started showing in LA before I'd moved back because I was trying to make connections here to see if my work was even like viable for sales and stuff like that, or if I was just living in a pipe dream where I would never make it. But so I was sending out physical postcards, but they were in an envelope with a love note and stickers,
handwritten
and a business card. Oh yeah,
nice.
That I specifically wrote out to that curator with, you know, my goals in mind, and here's a description of the work that I do. I followed you for this long. If you thought my work was appropriate for your gallery, I would love to hear more from you.
Excellent. So it's like a little package, a little care package. Not sending paintings or anything, but just like...
No, just a little example.
Nice. Yeah, a little personal touch.
And the postcards were, you know, super high quality. Something my mentor told me in college, his name's Andy Fish, was if you're going to give somebody a business card, give them one that they're going to feel bad if they throw it away.
Right.
Something that's super nice quality, or like with some extra details on it, or just something.
A little spot varnish, perhaps.
Spot varnish goes a long way.
Well,
it shows you considered it and you didn't just say, oh, they have a sale, I click the button, I have cards now.
Yeah.
Those are great in
matte
a pinch.
finish, spot varnish, and if you can have a little deboss or an emboss, could be helpful.
Yeah, I do like the triple thick cotton.
That's nice.
But you
you feel the thickness of it.
Yeah, you can't throw them in your backpack because they'll get destroyed immediately.
Right.
Getting a crisp one of those,
Ooh,
I always get compliments.
Yeah. I love that you love that sort of stuff, because like a lot of my friends like business cards. What is that all about? You know,
I highly suggest
it's nice to have
cards.
one on hand.
Yes.
No matter what, like here's my card.
Or little pamphlets. I saw you got these pamphlets.
Yeah, look.
They're fantastic. I made those when I did trade shows and things like that.
Yeah.
Because having an example to show people, people get approached all the time, especially curators or business owners, and it's very difficult to keep track of every single person who DMs you or talks to you or whatever.
Yeah.
But having something tangible that they actually enjoy.
Yeah.
And your work could be amazing.
Yeah.
But maybe it's just not for them.
Right.
They might still hold on to it because their friend wants it.
That's exactly my thinking. And I think you're probably the only other person that I've ever met that's like working in the street that has made like a brochure or a pamphlet like this. I've been doing it for like maybe 15 years. Shouts to Mike Rocchio. I know you're listening. And I trade. You know, he gets like a painting or whatever he wants, and then he'll give me like 2,500 of these.
That's fantastic.
What is that? 4x? No, that's 4x6.
4x6, yeah.
How many pages?
This looks like it's 16.
16, and so it's a range of styles, double staple, little bio in there, and that, like you leave that behind by a wall you want to paint or something. I found it to be very helpful. Absolutely.
People eat it up because they want a little piece of remembering that they were there with you.
Yeah.
I mean, so if I can't meet somebody in person, which I feel is always the ideal, because a lot of whatever my vibe is comes from my person.
Right.
That I am nice and I work really hard. I'm really professional, but I'm super friendly. I can hang, I can party. I'm like all those things. It's hard to come across in an email the same way.
Yeah, you can't.
Or a DM.
Yeah.
So it really...
Because an exclamation point these days is a little bit aggressive.
Yes,
you know
it is. Especially when I throw like 6 of them after everything. So
a little bit too thirsty there on the
exactly. You can't appear thirsty because they have everybody already has a bunch of thirsty people after them all the time.
Exactly, yeah.
And those aren't the people that you really gravitate toward.
Right.
So what separates you? What makes you you? And I don't know if that's just a little handwritten note saying I'm a person.
Yeah.
And I actually give a shit enough to write you something because I know who you are and I've read your name in magazines for years. You know, it means a lot to people in this kind of like super light and fast
super
digital
worth it.
age.
Especially now in like what you said, like it's also social media based or like wherever people are hustling now. You know, whether it's DMs or LinkedIn or whatever. Yeah. To get that, it's like, oh, this is addressed to me. I'm special. And then you open it. Oh, this is nice. And even if it may not be for them, right? Then they'll like you said, hang on to it, and maybe you'll come to mind in a year or 6 months, and they'll recommend you or something.
Exactly. Yeah. So whatever energy you put forth, I think always comes back to you in some way. It might take a while, right? But whatever positive you're putting out there, especially with your art and moving your own life forward, it always comes back. Yeah,
I think so as well.
And worst case scenario, you just wasted your time doing something nice.
Yeah.
Well, you could have been doing anything. You could have been smoking crack. Yeah. You could have been...
crack, baby. Give me some of that crack.
You could have been fighting with somebody on Twitter, but you weren't. You were doing something to further your career.
Do you get into Twitter battles? Are you on Twitter even?
Well, I'm on Twitter, but it's just stupid. I post like memes and then my art and stuff.
Right. But you don't go down into common battles like...
No, I can't. There's no way to change people's mind that way.
It's not the right forum to do that.
Yeah, people are putting their... I mean, I always told myself if I'm going to write anything on Twitter or on Facebook, if it's not positive, don't do it. Because I can't handle the backlash anyway. It's a lot. Like, personally, it's just not good for my mental health.
Yeah, I don't do it either,
Yeah, so if I don't have a constructive thing to say, or even on, like, Instagram stories, I'm not trying to fight with anybody. I'm like, if I can't think of anything to say, I'm like, all right, here's where you can donate water to homeless people. Yeah. Because that's something that I care about. And if you want to care about it with me, great. Yeah. And if you don't, you can ignore it. Yeah. I'm not here to like rile anybody up. Everybody's already riled up like to death this year.
It's tense. It's like super tense. I just watched that, what's it called? The Social Dilemma, the Netflix doc.
I've been hearing about that. I haven't watched it yet.
And Roger McNamee's in there, who did an unbelievable podcast, like I think 2 years ago with Sam Harris. He was an early investor in Facebook and became an advisor.
Oh, yes. Okay, this is all sounding very familiar.
He's in there, so that's, it's great then. And Tristan Harris is in there as well, which is like also like early participant in, I think Twitter and also Facebook. Yeah. And they're all sort of like ex-executives or early investors or co-founders that have grouped together and saw in their own ways the dangers of what socials are doing to humanity and in the ways that it divides us and only gives us the things that we really respond to with either liking, commenting or sharing, and these emotional responses that they prompt from us through the algorithm. But they're spending a lot of time on like trying to dismantle that and hold to account these socials.
Oh, absolutely. It's because there are positives to it, but it's so detrimental in other ways. And I'm like a huge advocate for mental health, and because I've lived with mental illness for like a really long time. Right. And that's
I think have a mental illness.
Oh, I've got a couple.
What do you have?
I'm like, where do you want to start?
What do you got?
I've lived with depression before. I'm doing pretty good right now. I have PTSD. I have obsessive compulsive disorder.
I'm right there with you on the OCD thing.
I think that's it for right now.
Yeah. How do you get obsessive?
It's skin picking.
No shit.
I have dermatillomania.
Wow. I have a somatic obsession.
Really?
Yeah. Had it since I was 11. Ever since.
My sister has trick where she pulls her hair out.
I have
we just grew up with it,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's interesting. I had a therapist, and he said, "Yeah, but labeling it is avoiding going into the root of it."
Oh yeah, we waited a couple of years, me and my therapist, to even put like a diagnosis on anything. Right. Because I needed one for my health insurance to help them pay me back, but she didn't want me to live as my identity, which I really appreciate from her. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm back seeing a guy now, a CRM, a new modality that kind of like goes and through going back into the trauma and then finding the position of the eyes while doing certain breath techniques. you find that there's certain positionings of the eyes, and if the eyes are an extension of the brain, you can kind of create new neural pathways, and be comfortable while recalling the trauma.
Yes.
Type of stuff.
Oh, I forget. Right? Yeah, what does that stand for?
It's CRM. This is my third week going, so but I can look it up.
Good for you.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting one, and I thought, it came highly recommended.
Yeah.
And I went, and you know how it is when you see a new therapist. It's like, okay, who the fuck is this guy, and what's he gonna tell me?
Right.
But for some reason, I'm like, okay, you get that way. Don't be that way. Don't waste any money if you're gonna be that way. Let's be open. Let's be present. Let's respond. And so I went into it, and within 10 minutes, like the back of my
cognitive something.
It's.
We'll get there.
Yeah, and I looked at it once really hard late night.
Yeah.
And I knew this made sense. It's sort of like on the forefront of things. But CRM, you Google that, it'll pop up.
Yeah.
And I'll send it to you privately later.
I have an eating disorder as well.
Yeah?
That's what it was. Or I'm recovering from an eating disorder.
And so tell me about the picking. Like, when do you find yourself doing it?
Oh, stress.
Yeah?
And just like mindlessly.
Yeah.
So, but I have a couple of friends who do that. And there were times that we would sit across from each other at work. And if one of us saw like somebody picking their arm or touching their face, we'd be like, knock it off. And just send a text. Because it's just it's a stress reaction.
Yeah.
Or just something you've done forever. And
it's like an extension of, like, most people can relate to this, even if you don't have it when you're listening. Like when you get really stressed out or you're late, you bite your nail. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know people who are nail biters. I'm not, and that's the one thing I didn't get. So.
But people do it even if it doesn't become a problem for them, because between the teeth, that piece of reality that you can like bite into when you feel out of control because of the stress, that's something you can control.
Yeah, it's like a tactile like comfort.
Right.
In a way, even though it is technically self-harm.
Right.
It's not good for you.
Right.
Don't hurt yourself.
But I think a lot of people do it as a response, like being nervous or like whatever.
Oh, sure.
Without it being like landing in the category that maybe we have landed in. You see what I mean?
When they started with the COVID thing, we're like, wear a mask, don't touch your face. Like,
all you could do is touch it.
Funny story. It's not going to happen. It's impossible. So I just had to totally isolate. There's no way I can go a day without like touching my face or my hair or something.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just.
Do you do it when you're by yourself as well, or is it only in like public situations?
No, it's only by myself.
Oh, it's only by yourself.
Oh yeah, in public situations I can keep it under control. Right. Unless I am nervous, then you'll see me like touch my neck or like start, going like, oh, do I have a zit there or something, and remove my makeup
and so. Are there any thoughts that not that you don't have to like get into it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it's just interesting to me because having gone to many groups and stuff for like actual obsessive compulsive disorder, not like how it's been like popularized. I'm so OCD about my coffee. No, you're not. That's not fucking OCD.
You can be bummed if your coffee isn't made the way that you want it to be, and you can even not drink it. It doesn't add up to obsessive compulsive disorder.
There's people that go to groups and like they're on medication and stuff.
Yeah, OCD is damaging.
Oh yeah, 12 million in this country.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's damaging to you in a way. So if you can get past something and it doesn't truly harm you, or if you can get it out of your head, you're probably doing all right. But if you feel like you can't get it out of your head, if you try to stop doing something, like you're addicted to like emotion or having things a certain way. Yeah, you should probably talk to somebody. Yeah. I would say...
Like perfectionism OCD, like it has to be just so...
Yeah.
Everything has to be on a perpendicular angle, or like, the fork has to be perfectly parallel.
Oh yeah, I did that for a long time. Yeah. Now I I'm
it's weird,
medicated. I've gone to therapy for years. Yeah. It helps a lot, believe me. Yeah, I would recommend therapy to anybody.
Yeah.
I wish that our country made it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
For everybody to go to therapy.
Yeah. It would be, yeah. There's no shame in a little self-care.
Yeah,
and we all need a little self-care.
Yeah, and there are a lot of apps now where you can talk to a therapist by paying like a subscription.
Right.
Meditation helps.
Yeah.
Because you just stop for like 10 minutes or however long.
It really, really does. Like it seems like, that's so cliche. That's what everyone says. Mm-hmm. But like just like really deeply breathing in and out. Like that has some sort of a replenishing, magical, calming effect.
It really does.
It really does.
Because you never sit still otherwise. Yeah. You're always on the phone, or you're always talking to somebody or thinking about somebody or thinking about what you should be doing, or maybe I need to eat. Or
shallow breaths. You're not really taking
Yes.
in and letting out. Like just short, right? Like it's like
Yeah, it's underestimated how much just breathing and talking to people helps. So if you're feeling kind of stuck right now, it's a good starting place.
Yeah.
So because a lot of people are feeling weird and alone right now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a specifically very delicate times for a lot of people.
Yes.
And it's okay to talk about it. And like me, I didn't talk about it for the first 20 years of my life. Mm-hmm. And because I thought if I talk about it to my friends, then they're going to get it too. I know how this stuff works.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And I'm like...
Mine was 25 years before I went to therapy.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
And so, not to be like too public service about it, but
sure.
Like if you're listening and you're struggling with something and you feel like you're going to be less than, or you're going to be considered a freak, or like people are going to judge you, or you just want to be loved, and why risk being abnormal, or any of these thoughts, forget all that nonsense, because as soon as you do, you'll be so surprised that your friends or like people that are close to your family that you thought were so perfect, they're struggling with stuff too.
Absolutely. And you're probably not as worse off as you thought.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. That's also a big one, yeah.
I remember once I was like sobbing to my therapist, like, am I like the worst case you've ever seen? Am I like the worst one? She goes,
yeah, because you want to know at some point, like, because I feel really bad.
And comparing yourself to people it's not helpful, but in this case it was really helpful for me, because she was like, well, I'm trying to talk another client out of buying their 26th car.
Wow.
And they're not good cars. They're not fancy Jay Leno cars.
What, she had harm OCD? She thought the car was somehow involved with like being
Well, they're harming their bank account and destroying their family.
But what was the OCD?
Oh, it wasn't OCD necessarily. This was like a general therapist.
Oh, I see.
But I was just like, am I like the worst? She's like, no, this is somehow a little bit more challenging. She's like, I think we can take care of you. Yeah. She's like, there's a lot of hope for you that doesn't involve like bankruptcy and like divorce and stuff like that.
Oh, it can go deep, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It can go deep.
Yeah, so you're probably fine, but if you think you should talk to somebody, you probably should.
Yeah. Well, yeah, what's that one? There's the one you mentioned where it's like a membership one.
I forget what it's called.
It's called, there's...
I'm fortunate that I didn't have to do it, but Talkspace.
Talkspace, yes.
Talkspace is one.
And
I was thinking
literally,
Headspace, but that's meditation.
Headspace is Sam Harris's app.
Really?
Oh no, that's... Yeah, I think it is.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think so. That's Sam Harris's app.
Interesting.
Great guy. Yeah, it is Talkspace.
Interesting.
Right, and I think for it starts at all kinds of rates, and you can just call whatever. So that's something you can look into, and just to get something off of your chest, like. And for someone to truly listen, and for that to be a safe space, like if you're going through anything at all, give it a shot. Why not?
Yeah, and there are hotlines for a reason.
Yep.
Like, don't think anybody's too good for that.
Yeah.
I called the suicide hotline like last year because I was like, I don't know how to like burden the people around me with what I'm feeling right now. The therapist isn't available. I'm just gonna call this person and be like, can I just talk to you for 10 minutes? I need a totally different person from anybody in my circle.
Yeah.
It was fine, and I was fine. I wasn't in harm's way or anything, but I didn't really know where to turn.
Right.
So I was on travel, and I was working on a mural somewhere, and I didn't have my friends close by or anybody handy, and it was late at night. And
and you're like, I've got to deal with some stuff. I would like to get something. It's it's a weight on me.
Yeah, there's no shame. You just got to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
Whatever you got to do. Nobody's perfect, and when people see you succeeding or doing everything super cool, just remember there's like a root to it that everybody's struggling in their own way. I'm in a really good place right now.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I didn't cry like 4 times this week.
Yeah.
Like I just did all this cool stuff, and then I just came home and sat, and I'm like, oh, I think this is what like ego death is. When you're being like applauded for a month about all the cool shit you're doing, and then you just come home and you're like, I'm not getting vitamin D, I'm not doing activity, I'm not seeing people. Like you gotta keep checking in with yourself.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, self-care. Mm-hmm. It's big. It's so overlooked.
Yeah.
It's so overlooked. But I think even there, like things are changing a little bit for the better. But there's also a bigger seductive enemy with the social comparison stuff.
Oh,
which can be hard for anyone. It's hard for us when we see like a sucker, getting great accolades, and then you see a champion like go unnoticed or something.
Absolutely.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
And
I know plenty of people who are way underrated, who are fantastic, and then a lot of like really subpar type of work, just getting millions of compliments. And I'm like, but when you grow up with just like through your like late 20s or late teens and early 20s with only Instagram compliments,
that's
that worries me. Because
I think you're old enough to also remember the world like kind of before all this stuff.
Yeah, and I went to art school before we had cell phones, and had
that's huge.
Brutal critiques.
Yeah.
But not having any critique, it makes me really want to like have a dialogue with somebody, because I don't live for all the compliments. I'm really grateful to receive them, but when somebody can really sit with me straight and tell me what I'm doing wrong, or like lettering and graffiti right now, like I'm okay with being totally brutalized and disappointed in my work, because it means that the next thing I do, I may be improving.
Right.
So.
Yeah. It's always about correction, right? Always about correction. Like
if you're moving up and not just doing the same thing every single time.
Right.
I mean, you can do the same thing every time for practice.
Yeah.
But if you're not challenging yourself,
right,
then you're probably not going to meet the standard that you've set.
Right.
Like your taste level is probably higher than the work that you can create.
Right.
So you need to continue
That's an
to
interesting
challenge
one you
yourself.
said. Your taste level is probably higher than the work you are creating. That's a big one.
Yeah.
If it is, then that's very interesting.
Yeah.
And then that's difficult sometimes to negotiate for yourself. Because you like all this cool stuff. Oh, you can give a master class on what's the coolest shit out there, and all the unknown stuff that's even cooler than that. But then you're putting a sticker of a toaster up everywhere. Mm-hmm. Let's say, or something. For example, by the way, there was a guy named Toaster out of England.
We're pissing off Toaster guy now.
No,
Jesus.
But that was a thing back then. You can do a toaster everywhere, and you were Toaster guy.
And I would have thought that was funny and cool and clever.
Yeah,
so
of course.
I would probably still love that if I saw it.
Yeah.
But if you want to be doing like, Felipe Pantone with a, fully wrapped DeLorean in your artwork, and if that's like your pinnacle of like, this is the coolest, most challenging thing I could ever expect to possibly do, and you're kind of like doing like little ink drawings and not exploring color or not exploring other avenues for your work like 3D, or like if you're pigeonholing yourself to make like an Instagram feed look cohesive, you probably need to like branch out more. And you don't have to share all of your like explorations.
Right.
You don't have to get approval on all of your explorations. You could just do them and even think they're good or think they suck.
Yeah.
Get feedback from your friends just texting them. You don't need to show off every single thing you do.
Yeah.
Because you're probably not going to get the reaction that you want if you are truly like trying to improve. So.
Yeah, it's a tricky one.
Mm-hmm.
It's all like, and even thinking about it too much is already like fugazi,
Yeah.
But it is good, but it's also fugazi.
Yeah.
Because there's some people that are not on the socials at all.
Oh, I know.
Right? And they're like,
fascinating.
They're not even on there.
My husband's not on social media at all.
Shit.
He hasn't been for like probably 6 or 8 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you?
Yeah.
But he doesn't have to know like what I'm doing every day,
right.
so I don't have to talk to him.
For us, it's great
because
we're so visual with what we do anyway, so it's like a perfect platform for us, I think.
Yeah, it's still very inspiring for me to be on Instagram and see what other people are doing.
Oh yeah.
Collect mental images of like textures and shapes and color palettes, and I have like a little inspiration folder on my phone. I have another little reference folder on my phone when I see like a weird animal or just something really cool, or I don't know. It's nice to have like little buckets, so that you're not always just being overstimulated by everything.
Yeah.
Especially since politics are
there's so much
really at the forefront of social media right now.
Yeah, it definitely is, and that's a whole other mess.
I'm like, I just want to see people decorate cakes. That's all I want to see.
If you decorate a cake like a motherfucker, that's very fucking interesting.
It's so fascinating.
Yeah, it really is.
But
yeah, photo cakes.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't know how to do that. So they're printing with what? With like a sugar onto like a top layer of.
It's probably food coloring.
Right, but how do you get?
In a CMYK.
But it looks like an archival print.
Yeah, CMYK.
Right,
so they do all the halftones out, and then they just print them with like cyan, pink, yellow, and
right. So
black.
it's a 4-color
Food coloring.
process, right?
Yeah.
But like with food coloring.
Yeah, with food coloring
through
on like food coloring on an edible layer of fondant.
Fondant, I like that.
Yeah.
Madame is an aristocrate.
No, it means I
Fondant
watch the Food Network too much.
Man, I'm from the land of chocolate. You don't have to talk to me about fondant.
There you
Fondant
go.
is like, wow.
That's so funny. My husband's Swedish, but everybody
No
confuses
shit.
him for being Swiss.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an immigrant as well.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, like chocolate and watches and stuff, and he's like, no, lingonberry and midsummer.
Christiania.
Yeah. Aquavit, that's our life there. This is the first year we haven't been to Sweden. I'm so bummed.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna keep everybody safe.
That's cool, man. So,
And my midsummer experiences, and I've had probably 10 of them, have never been like the movie. Just throwing it out there. Nobody puts flower crowns on me. Nobody gives me mushrooms. They just feed me way too much whiskey.
Wait, speaking of mushrooms, because without knowing you before today, to me, you're definitely a psychedelic traveler.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you are.
I'm
but
not. I barely smoke weed at all.
Yeah, but weed isn't even like... I mean, I guess weed of today is pretty...
But I haven't done many psychedelics. I did do mushrooms last week.
Yeah.
But that was the first time.
Well, that seems
recent
enough that...
I know, but that was the first time in like literally 10 years.
Yeah.
I hadn't done it before then.
Yeah.
And all it made me want to do was like chill out and go to sleep.
No crazy laughter, like trippy shit?
I was already drunk, so I don't know.
Yeah. So it wasn't like a hero's journey or anything?
No, it was anticlimactic, but I also didn't set out any expectations.
Right.
I was just like pointed at like two of my friends and was like, make sure I get home okay.
Yeah.
And we're good.
Good.
So.
And then good was what it was.
Yeah, that's all it was.
Yeah.
It was
but
fun.
never like trip psychedelic, like LSD or 2CB or anything?
No, I haven't found like a safe space with friends. I would not be opposed to it. I totally look, positively on that
Bananas.
stuff. But I'm also like afraid of like what my own brain would show me.
No, because it's already like just like without looking at the subject matter, even just like the interplay of color choices, like that is you just can't get away from, and it's not like psychedelia in the way it's already been done.
Yeah.
It just feels like, okay, there's some otherworldliness going on here with this palette.
Yeah. I think that's true, though.
Yeah,
I mean, just the inside of my head is like, it's like a desert, and then they're like little Play-Doh creatures that wander around, and they build themselves up and change themselves, and they hang around for a few weeks, and if they hang around long enough, I paint them. Yeah. And that is the weirdest way to even put it, but it's true. And so I'm like, ooh, what would they all look like if I was super messed up? I don't know. I hope they would still be benevolent.
I think they would be.
Yeah.
I don't think they would be malevolent.
Well,
but even though there's a few touches of that, like there's some danger in some of the eyes of
there's some
characters.
Sinister things, but that's
like the spiraled eyes, like I'm so out of control right now.
Yeah, like the hypnotizing Khan from Jungle Book.
Exactly.
That's what that's from.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of childhood kind of nostalgia in there as well. So like between all the happy bright like rainbows and stuff, there is little things to discover that are maybe less wholesome or stuff like that.
It's not an innocent world you depict.
Not always. Sometimes it is. Sometimes I'm like, look, it's a cake and it's made out of frosting. Yeah. This time. Yeah. Woo! Just move on.
No, I dig it. I'm excited to see where you're gonna take it all to next.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely want to do more murals. I just had a solo show open a couple weeks ago at Stranger Factory called Eat the Elephant.
And where's Stranger Factory?
They're in Algodones, New Mexico.
Okay.
So right outside of, right between Santa Fe and Albuquerque. And
it's open for visit or online only?
By appointment only.
Appointment, yeah.
But all the stuff is online.
No, I saw some of those paintings in there. Yeah. Like it was 16 by 20, but they're very... they're like the old work, but like you went in extra hard, I feel.
I really worked harder on this body of work than anything.
There's serious level of detail in there.
Yeah, and I mean, even just the planning and I have pages and pages of me picking symbolism and, stuff from the Encyclopedia of Demonology, things that would relate to the cult-like stuff of my childhood, and finding out what symbols kind of would match these monsters that I picked out from that
very
book.
important.
Yeah. It was really fun to do the research, and the research probably took longer than doing all the paintings.
Do you have that thick book, the Book of Symbols?
No, but I found a PDF.
Okay, good.
Online for free.
There's a very good book out there. It's called the Book of Symbols. It's like, 200 pages or something? And like endless amounts of categories, words,
Love
and
stuff like
then
that.
the etymology of the word, and then the first use known in in history, as far as like the written record goes and all that sort of stuff. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh my God, this dates back so far, and it's so cool to read something from the 1400s that then connects to, let's say, for example's sake, a bird or like
Yeah.
a broken spoon or something.
I love stuff like
Yeah.
that. I mean, I got to see runes in Sweden from like the 1500s.
Yeah.
Stuff like that is just so like intense.
It's fascinating.
So cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah. So I'm excited for you. For
Thank
sure.
you.
I'm
Yeah.
psyched. I think we got it. Where can people find you online?
You can find me online pretty much everywhere at Allison Bamcat, 2 L's in Allison. My website is bamcatart.com, and I have bamcatshop.com for all my like, merch and prints, and I have some original artwork up there as well. And
excellent.
yeah, my current show at Stranger Factory, Eat the Elephant.
Yes, fantastic. And I'll put all those notes in the footnotes of the show.
Thank you.
For you guys to check out. Again, Allison, big fan. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
And we're out.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate
Bye-bye.
you.
You guys. Bye. Whoop, there it was. That was Allison Bamcat. Hope you enjoyed that. As always, we are on Instagram at Happy No Fear, and I am, of course, at The Art of Chase. And yeah, we're speeding things up. We got a couple of episodes in the chamber, so to speak. So expect us back very soon. Bye bye.